Mlaleli wami, njengoba bengithembisile ukuthi u-part 2 walesi sitori sasisi uceliwe dada, siyaqhubeka la khona echaza ukuthi ngempela yini egcine yenzeka noma kumndrene kangakanani uthandana nobhuti we-Nigeria. Mind you, akasho ukuthi yena uthandana ne-Nigeria, kodwa kutholakale kwenye ama-akhawunti akhe ukuthi hawu kahle kahle wayeshade ne-Nigeria. Bafethu, maningi amakhesi atholakala kubantu abashade nama-Nigeria. Siyacela kosisi bethu esibambisene nabo nabasemakhaya nosisi nje e-South Africa ukuthi bayiqaphele imiphumela yokuthandana nama-Nigeria. Hleli betshelwa ukuthi inhloso yama-Nigeria iba yodwa, kanti futhi kuyenzeka uthole ukuthi bakufaka umuthi ungakwazi ukubona izinto, njengoba ezwakala izinto wayezenza nawe uma usulalela kahle. Okunye kwakho wayesuke esetshenziselwa umuthi, noma-ke izinto ezazenziwa uyabona ukuthi lento le yayingeke yenziwe umuntu owayesuke enormal. Siyabazi abantu, siyabazi osisi bethu bayagoloza emakhaya and bayagoloza even sithandana nabo. Lokho kwenza ukuthi mhlampe begcine bengayenzi into osuke uyicelela ngaleso sikhathi, kodwa la uma ngabe sebebambisene nama-Nigeria bayakwazi ukuthi bezenze lezo zinto. Okungenzeka maningi amathuba ukuthi umuntu akudrage noma akwazi ukuthi esebenzise lowo muntu ukuthi ukwazi ukuthi wena umlalele noma wenze lento ayifunayo. Ayikho into engiphatha kabuhlungu njengokuzwa ethi yathi indoda ifuna i-GLB kodwa ngale kwalokho ayithatha imoto ngemali yabani. Umuntu athi ufuna ini ngemali yabani, ngoba phela awukhethi uma ngabe unikezwa into, uyaye umukele lokho unikezwa khona. Uyabo, ukuthi ushadile vele kuwumthetho wase-South Africa, kuwumthetho nje okhuliswa ngawo, kungewona wase-South Africa, ukuthi indoda kufanele provide. Yes, kuyenzeka basilekelele la sisuke sishoda khona, kodwa kahle kahle kuwumthetho. Akwamukeleki noma ngathiwa indoda kanjani, akwamukeleki ukuthi indoda ingasebenzi ebese umfazi ayasebenza ebese eprovide bese uphinda futhi uyakhetha. Cha bafethu, nami umbono wami lowo, ngaphandle nje umusho isikhathi kumlalo wami, ngikuphathele sona-ke u-part 2 wesitory la engathi siyaphela khona. Cela ukuthi wenze njena, like njengamanje bese wenza sure ukuthi uyalantunga, uyayilinda ividiyo iziphele ebese uyakhomenta, ufake umbono wakho nawe ebese uyashare uma ukuthi khona ufuna ukuvula i-discussion naye mayelana nalolu daba. La ividiyo mlaleli wami asihlangane kumavidiyo amanye alandelayo.
Hi guys, I'm on lunchtime, but I thought before I start eating my lunch, let me record this video and get it over and done with. So I ended the last video Kulandao where I was talking about how difficult it was financially paying for that car. You know, if like I'm being honest, the worst decision I've ever taken in my life is not even marrying my husband. That is not the worst decision. The worst decision I took was signing and like taking that car for him. That is the worst decision I've ever done in my life. The most stupidest decision, the most and yes, it was the worst decision because by signing for that car and taking that car for my husband, I did so much injustice even to my kids. That has delayed me in even buying a house for my children because paying for that car became so difficult. As time progressed, there's a time where I started speaking and saying to my husband, listen, I cannot afford this car. And I think you can see that because towards the end of the month, and our life has changed drastically. We're not able to do fun things that we used to do as a family. We're not able to entertain the kids because there isn't money to do that. And even Nata Pendlini, we are not okay. We're not okay, and partly it's the finances because believe it or not, the lack of finances in a marriage, they have a big impact. Some people are miserable in their marriages not because they don't love each other, not because they don't care about each other anymore, but because of lack. Lack can make you very miserable in marriage. It can quench the love, it can quench the affection, can quench the respect and the honor you give to each other just because you are broke in that marriage. It's frustrating. It's frustrating, it's so humbling. Um, so I think finances is a very important aspect, like in people's marriages. But anyways, it was so difficult. But another thing that was difficult, I think, as I was growing and I was realizing just how much I am struggling, and I was resenting the fact that, man, I am married to this guy whose priorities are so mismatched to my priorities, because yeah, now he values being comfortable and being in a good car as opposed to us buying a house and securing our future and securing our kids' future, just because he feels, oh, but this place is not good enough for him. So he would much rather drive like a car that costs 1.2 million than buy a house that costs 1.2 million. And this is someone who has not only given birth to one child, but at this point already also has 3 kids, you know? So I think I started losing the respect I had for him, and like the affection that I had in believing, but I was married to this guy who's like an honorable person, who is a churchman and who's a church guy as well, who fears God, who prays so much, who has like such a good relationship with God. Like all of that respect started wearing down. And so because of the frustration of also not also being able to afford like all of these bills, now I was also paying for 2 cars. I was paying rent. I was paying like school fees for these kids, and there's just a lot. I was starting like to be so mean. I'd be so mean, like would be having an argument and then I'll just throw it in. But like you're not even helping me. Yeah, but like Uba, like he would say to me, like, despite everything that I thought I was doing from my end, he would like say things like, what has he gained from this marriage? And like then I will start counting. I would start counting the things that I think he has gained. But despite all of that, like he used to say things that suggest but he feels but I am a useless wife. Like I'm not a good wife. And now I was like thinking but I'm doing my best as a wife. And so I started being mean. I started being mean. Like I'll throw jabs at him. I'll say things that you shouldn't say to a man. Like I'd say to him, but like I don't know, but now why I'm in this marriage. I don't know why I'm in this marriage because um it's not even the sex. Like there's no sex. Um it's not that like you care for me, you don't. It's not that like you are there for the kids all the time, you are not. Like you the whole week you are where you're staying, and then you come here like on the Friday, and then you are here Saturday, and then on Sunday you're leaving. Okay, if you came on the Saturday, on the Monday you're leaving. And you find that even when he does come, maybe we were fighting, yeah, but and then so when he comes, like there's no like um there's no relationship between us. Like the marriage is busy dying, and mnangapa, I am busy like going deep and deep and deep and deep and deep. I think it just like from there onwards, like the marriage just started going like low, low, low. Then I started like saying to him, listen, I think we have. I gave birth to my last child, the third born, and I think I've spoken to how like the conception of my last child was in the video that I posted when I was saying that even in a dry marriage you can still fall pregnant. So I'm not gonna include that here. But like I then eventually gave birth to my third child, and then when I gave birth to my third child, um, you know, we tried to say let's work things out, and then I forgave him, and then we spoke and we said we're gonna give it an honest like try. And then when we did that, then we were now speaking, and I was like, listen, look, this car is very expensive. I think you can see, but I can no longer afford this car. And we've got 3 kids. And we're saying we want to try and make the marriage work. So for us to make the marriage work, we must at least like fix like the financial issues that we have. And then we spoke. It was very difficult. At some point, we had to speak to our friends. We have other friends that were advising. It was so difficult for him to finally agree. to finally agree to letting go of the car. And it was very important to me, but he agrees because I was like, this is not a matter of me wanting to take away the one thing that he treasures. But it's me trying to make him see, but as the man of the house, you need to make the decision for us to say that you're choosing us as a family as opposed to choosing you and your comfort. Yo, it took forever. Like he just didn't want. At some point, I was considering that I was going to take my car and his car, and then we trade them in for me to come out with a very small car so that he can have like the car that he's gonna be comfortable with. Because he was saying even if he lets go of the GLB, he still wanted a Mercedes Benz. He didn't want anything that is below like the Germans. He wasn't gonna drive anything but a Mercedes Benz. Like he would much rather even go towards getting a second hand, but it must be a Benz. You? I was so frustrated. Then I did call a few dealerships and we tried, but eventually I was like to him, no, the car has got to go. To cut the long story short, eventually we had to like let the bank take the car, the GLB, and then the bank did come and take the car, but the value of the car, obviously, it had depreciated, and then it had more than 250,000 shortfall. And then with that, I think the bank did give me a discount, like a 40% discount. And then I ended up having to pay like I don't know, but like I started paying. And then eventually I was left with around like 130 or like 130, and then I had to like settle that. But settling that, I settled that like after he's like we had separated, like long separated. And then yeah, because the reason I had to do that is because Kaloku, I did falter on one payment and then I was blacklisted. And me faltering on that payment was because I'd made the decision that the car has got to go and he didn't want the car to go. So I was thinking, but I'll just falter on the payments and then the bank can come and fetch their car eventually. But okay, that made me to be blacklisted. So yeah, the GLB ended up being taken. It was taken by the bank, and then after the GLB was taken by the bank, um, yeah, like life was just so bad. Even what we were saying we're trying to do, trying to build up our marriage again, I realized, but it's not gonna work. He was so miserable. The other thing that I didn't mention is that I started like I was involved in an accident with the Kia Rio. I think I if you've watched like most of my videos, you would know at what point I got involved in an accident. That was in 2022 around March, when my husband had left, and I went to Joburg to go like find him so that I can have him back. But I was involved in an accident. I spoke about that in one of the videos. I don't remember which one. You'll have to watch. But at that point when my Kia Rio was in an accident and also became a write-off, then I eventually got the car that I am driving now. Yeah. So what happened is that when my husband took when we took the GLB back, this is gonna trigger a lot of people. Because like he said here now he's not gonna be without a car. And since I'm the one that like said we must take the car back, then now I was the one that was guilty. But like it's my sisizathu sami esenze uba angabi namoto. Yabona. And at that point, after the car was taken, I was blacklisted, so it's not like I could like get a car like right away. So we ended up deciding that he should take my car, this car, the one that I am driving now, that he should take my car. So now I ended up not having a car. Ndancamela imoto yam yena, because kaloku yena He doesn't stay in the rurals, he stays in the city. So he needs to have a car. Okay, this is something that I didn't mention as well, that I'm gonna have to slot it in. He also had another hustle. Amongst his many hustles, he also had another hustle where he's selling second-hand cars. So he didn't have any cars, that a lot of cars at this point to sell. So he didn't have, but he had a Polo, an old Polo that hadn't been sold, yabo, at that time. So he could have decided that Yena, he can drive that Polo and then I get to keep my car. But he said no, Yena, he's not gonna drive the second-hand Polo that was meant for to be sold. He's not. He's gonna take my car. My car is an automatic. I am not really comfortable driving manual, because when I bought my car, I just bought this automatics. So I haven't really drove a manual car. So when I said to him, okay, if you're going to drive my car, you're taking my car, then let me have the Polo. I'm going to go back to the driving school. I'll take even if it's 5 lessons with the car so that I can be comfortable driving it. At least the distance from home to my workplace is short, because I need a car now when I'm on duty. When I'm on call and I get called out at night, I will need the car. Yabo. He said no, that car is meant to be sold. I will break the car. So if I break the car, then he will not be able to sell it for business, and then he will end up not being able to have money, because now I've broken the car. So he gets to take my car, and then he goes to PE where he's staying, while I remain with the kids, all 3 kids, mind you, and I have to go to work, but I am left without a car. Then he said, no, this other guy that he always leaves the car that he's selling with, that drives the car around, that guy can be the chauffeur. So when I have to go to work, that guy can come and pick me up and drop me off. And then also that guy can also drop off the kids and pick the kids up with the car that is being sold. But he's saying, no, I cannot drive that car because I will break it. Hey, we must have done that. I don't know for how long, but at that point, the abuse was also escalating. It was also escalating, and now I was going to work and I don't have a car. I can't explain to you how much I love this car. It's not a fancy car. I drive a Kia Seltos. It's really not a fancy car, but it's a comfortable car for me. It's a car I'm very comfortable in. It's a car I love so much. And it's the one thing that I look at and I'm like, I went to school and I bought myself this and I love it. So to have him drive my car while I was walking to work and still have him not be nice to me, that broke me. It broke me. There is this one specific day that he was back and I was on duty. It was a weekend. I was on duty. He was back, and we're having a disagreement on that day. And he was just being so rude to me, and he was insulting me, and then he ended up not wanting to drop me off, and I had to walk. And then I walked towards my friend's house and I asked my friend to drop me off. And then when I got back, I heard from our nanny and also from my son that after I had left the house, he continued insulting me and saying a lot of derogatory things to my children while they were also hearing. Derogatory things about my background, derogatory things about me to my kids. That hurt me as well. And then there was also a day when I was on call and he was not around. And that guy that is supposed to pick me up and drop me off, he was busy and he couldn't drop me off. But I was being called for something serious. So it was at night and my friend was also not available to quickly drop me off. I ran to work, going to address what I was being called for at night, and I was running. And then somewhere in the middle of the road, I asked myself, like, Baceliwe, uphambene? Baceliwe, uphambene, what is this that you're doing? Why are you suffering? Like, I think that was my wake-up call as far as my car story like is concerned. Baceliwe, uphambene, you are at work. You have to run, gamanyawo. But your husband is using your car to do what? Where he's at. What is he doing? Hayi ntombazana. Hayi ndazinqanda. Ndazinqanda man. I went to work. I did whatever it is that I had to do. And then when he came back the weekend after that, that's when the incident of him not wanting to drop me off and insulting me happened. So I came back that day and I said to him, please, can I have my car keys? And then he said, no. I said, Timmy, oh my goodness, and I just called his name. I said, can I have my car keys? I said, can I have my car keys? He didn't want. He didn't want to give me my car keys because he was using my spare key and I had the normal keys. So another day, guys, I went to the police station because I wasn't going to fight someone who's beaten me up so many times. I know he's going to beat me most. I went to the police station. I got there and I wrote the statement and I said to them, can you please escort me at home to my husband? I want to collect my car keys from him. So I came back driving my car and the police cars came and stopped there in the yard. There was like 2 police vans. They stopped and then they called him outside to speak to him. And then they told him, you have to give her car keys. And then he said, oh, we are married in community of property. So that means I also own the car. And the police said, the car is registered on her name. If you don't want to give her, when you are driving the car on the road, she's going to open up a case and say that you stole the car. We as the police, we're not going to ask questions. We're just going to come and take the car. So give her her car keys. He gave me my car keys. After he gave me my car keys, then he had to go and drive his Polo. That was... Yeah, so at that point, the police came. They helped me to have my car keys from him. And then I took my car keys. Then I now had both my spare key and my normal key. That meant that he wouldn't be able to drive my car at all. Then he went to that guy that keeps the Polo that he was one of the cars that he was selling, and then he started driving that car. He started driving that Polo, and then he would go to his place in PE, come back. He was driving it like for some time. He drove that car like for a significant amount of time, and I could see, but he's really humbled because shame. I think having a good car is that important to him. Yeah, driving a good car is that important to him, and that is the type of a man that I got married to. I got married to that type of a man. Yay. Yeah. I could see Shamuba, he's not okay, you know. Like he was becoming more and more and more and more withdrawn. Up until it got to a point where he was able to buy himself a car. He managed to buy himself a car, a very beautiful car. He now drives a very gorgeous BMW, almost like a hatchback kind of. I don't really know the specificities about cars. Between I only know the cars that I bought because I had to sign the things. But the car that he's driving now, that's his own car. He bought that out of his own pocket. Like I say, but he's a hustler, you know. He knows like how to make his own money. With all like the things that he's able to do, he can afford his own lifestyle. It's not that he can't. And then when he got his car, he went back to being himself, you know, being so sure of himself. I was happy enough for him when he got his car because I thought the confident him is gonna come back again. I was very happy with him. I was very happy for him. I mean, but yeah, like the marriage just kept on going down and down and down. And at this point, like when I was driving my car, even when we were okay, he made a vow, since I called cops on him with regards to this car, that he will never step inside my car. So even if we are going to like an activity, school activity for the child and stuff, if I would have to drive my car, and then he will be in his own car. And then it got to a point where he wouldn't like want me inside his car, especially the brand new car, when we were not okay. So yeah, like those were the last bits of the marriage. But to conclude this series that I was making about like the worst financial mistake of my life, which was buying like this expensive car for my husband, that started with me agreeing to buying the GLC for 15,000, and then now buying this one that I was paying 23,000 towards, and it ending up being taken by the bank. And now, after we've separated, battling with the fact that I am still blacklisted, and I wanted my name so bad. I wanted my name back so bad, so I had to settle the shortfall. And as soon as I settled the shortfall, my name was cleared. Yeah, my name was cleared. My name was cleared, but I still have, a lot of financial setbacks. I still haven't bought the house because the divorce is not finalized. So, that's the one thing that I am really like battling to like come into terms with and be at peace with, because I feel like my kids deserve a home. But because of the choices that I've made in life, I'm now delaying my kids on having like that kind of security. To think, but after everything that I've just now spoken to you about and everything that I've shared, it was not me that walked out, like with the abuse, the physical abuse that I've spoken to you about, the emotional abuse, the financial abuse, and like all of these things that I've been speaking about. It is not me that finally called it quits in our marriage. It's not me that finally called it quits. He's the one that walked out. Okay. And him also walking out, the final straw, it's because he had gone at Joburg to go and do a course for himself, something to do with something that he wants to do that is also aligned with him owning the barber shop. He wanted to do a training with regards to that, and so he booked himself at Joburg, and like he was there like for a week. He paid for himself for the course, but he decided that his brand new car, he was not gonna drive it. He wanted to put the car on the truck so that the truck can deliver the car at Joburg. So he had to pay that amount, 5,000 and something, for the car to be carried by the truck. Yena, he was gonna fly to Joburg, so he also had to book the flight. He paid all of these things out of his pocket, ne? Then he did, and then he booked himself there. Even for the course, he paid everything out of his pocket. Then on the day that he's coming back from a Joburg, mind you, while he's in Joburg, 3 days before he comes back, he starts like being rude to me, and then we were not okay. But on the day that he's driving back, it was a Sunday, so he went to church, and after church, he doesn't even say that he started driving. I just see on his WhatsApp status updates that, oh, my husband has started driving. That is how petty he was being and cocky with me. Then on the road, he apparently got stopped by traffic cops because there was a lot of traffic fines that were like that he was owing, so that those traffic stops and checks, he got checked and apparently was stopped by the traffic cops, and they wanted him to pay 2,000 on the spot. And he called me, and I was on duty that day. I was even wearing gloves. I was sterile, so I couldn't like answer my phone right away. So he was now getting pissed, and he called me saying that, or he's in an emergency, he needs 2,000 because the police have stopped him, got in. And I was so annoyed. Now I was annoyed because he was just living large, Konangoku. He was making reckless financial decisions of not driving his car, wanting the car to be driven by a truck, delivered to Joburg, and then him flying. But he's going to the same place where he wants the car to go. Like I didn't understand about why he was being like that, So I was cross, and I didn't want to finance that. So I was angry. But when he came back, I didn't address it on the day. He came back, I was on duty, and then the following day, then I addressed this with him. And I said to him, listen, I don't have a problem now if you want to live large. If you want to live large, that's okay. That's your life. But you should do it out of your own pockets. I no longer want to finance now your extravagant living. And the reason I'm saying that is because I take care of the kids. I take care of all the basic bills apparently. Where now all you do is to take care of yourself. So in future, do not ask me for money, because you are living a bachelor's life. My money is our money. It's everyone's money, but your money is your money. So I've decided, Bamna, I want to be responsible in taking care of the kids, in taking care of everything. But I do not want to finance your reckless living and your extravagant life. Then, because I said that, he decided, Oba, he's gonna tell me, Oba, anyway, you should live your life. I'll also live my own life. He meant it when he said that, because then he had contact with me and he never wanted to hear from me again. And that's how we became separated. We became separated because he said that he wants me to live my own life. He's going to live his own life. And that is because I said I didn't want to finance his life anymore. He's gone. He's gone. He's driving his own car. He's gone. And he doesn't support his kids, but I don't care. Even if he doesn't want to. He's living his life, and I've been living my life since.